Someone dropped him out of the roof.
Hey, what's up? This is Kawhi Leonard from the San Antonio Spurs, and this is my story. To be on the NBA team, just been a dream of mine since I was probably 8 years old.
With the 15th pick in the 2011 NBA draft, Kawhi Leonard.
We needed to get bigger. We really needed to do that, and Kawhi allowed us to do it.
Kawhi Leonard with the drive. Hold on to your hats. Here comes Leonard.
Little did we know that he was going to progress as quickly as he did.
We welcome you once again to San Antonio, Texas, where we're set for the 2014 NBA Finals. Patty Mills finding Leonard in the corner. That's a three. Mills. Leonard on the follow. The Spurs are the 2014 NBA champions.
Thanks for pushing me. Oh my God.
Oh my God, that's what
it's a crazy feeling.
The fans of San Antonio know how great you are, and now the whole world does.
He's just, beginning to come into his own and realize the kind of effect he can have in a game.
Somebody tell me there's a better perimeter defender in this game right now.
All he's done is get better every single year that he's been in the NBA.
The news came out today that with the injury again to this quad, that he'll be out for the preseason. Timetable not necessarily known at this point.
When you don't have your star, that's a big concern. And even of more concern to me is the nature of Kawhi's injury.
Kawhi Leonard is back. He just does so much on both ends of the floor that there's no replacing him.
Oh, mama, what a fake from Kawhi Leonard.
Spurs announced Kawhi Leonard is out again, this time indefinitely.
Listen, the man obviously is feeling like he still needs a little bit more time to recoup.
I don't have a set date right now, but I've just got to keep doing what I'm doing.
What is going on with Kawhi Leonard?
You'll have to ask Kawhi and his group that question. So far they say that he's not ready to go.
Obviously, they had the Kawhi Leonard drama all year long.
It's going to get worse now.
It is official. Kawhi Leonard is moving on from San Antonio. Spurs traded the disgruntled All-Star along with Danny Green.
Feeling great. Happy that I'm healthy. I'm able to start training camp and, not just sitting on the sideline.
The most anticipated opening night in a long time for a lot of reasons. But here's the main one. Kawhi Leonard
To the rim. Kawhi Leonard gets them out of their seats.
You're adding a guy that can make a dramatic difference in the fortunes of your franchise.
Greg Popovich said Kawhi Leonard was a great player, but not a leader for the Spurs.
It's just funny to me. I don't know if you're talking about last year or not. I guess when you stop playing, you forget how you leave.
It was just a couple years ago where he was regarded as a top 3 player in this league. He can get back to that form. This is really going to boost this Raptors team in the East.
And it all crescendos tomorrow night. And we take a look at Kawhi Leonard's 7 seasons in San Antonio that can be summed up with 3 words: Hall of Fame. Finals MVP, 2-time DPOY, 2-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA first team. And here's what Kawhi had to say about this epic reunion game.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Everybody's anticipating the game, and, things like that only can just get me better for the long run. So it's going to be a good game.
What did you expect? Did you expect Kawhi Leonard to go on and on and on about this matchup? That's just not how he rolls. Rick Kamla and Sekou Smith here on Game Time Live. Let's start with this. What do you anticipate the reaction to be in San Antonio when Big Voice Guy announces Kawhi Leonard before the game?
Look, these are some of the best basketball fans the league's ever seen in a city that appreciates what Kawhi did for him, I think, in ways that we really didn't calculate during the fallout of him leaving the city. I think you'll see a generous outpouring of, cheers for him, but it's going to have to overtake the hissing and the booing because there's some passionate fans down there who are still upset that Kawhi Leonard basically said, I don't want to be here anymore. And that's understandable, Rick. Anytime you have a breakup like this in this league, you expect for there to be some venom. But if you really take a sober look at what Kawhi did in his time there, the way he outplayed any expectation for what type of player he's going to be, you should stand up and applaud this man. I mean, he gave you some of the best years of his NBA career. He's got plenty more to go, but he's certainly given you the zenith of what you could ask for as a fan base from a star player that you draft where you drafted him and watch him develop.
I think it will be a mix of cheers and boos and fascinating to see on TNT how that goes. Now, in terms of Greg Popovich, a lot of times when, a former player goes back right before, they jump it up at the beginning of the game, there might be a little bit of dap, maybe a little hug or something like that, maybe a little salute. Do you anticipate any love or Pop and Kawhi playing it straight before the game?
I mean, neither one of these guys is the mushy type, so obviously you don't expect them to go over there, getting all emotional and hugging each other. But I think there's a mutual respect between these two, even now after all that went on. Pop has to know that Kawhi helped keep that dynasty going for a few more years longer than it would have without him. And Kawhi has to know that the Spurs, and even with all of his hard work and the grind he put in from the time he was coming up in Southern California, they put him on a platform to expand his game and his name in ways that he might not have been able to do otherwise, depending on where he landed in the league. So it was a beautiful relationship when it started. It didn't end the way I'm sure either one of them wanted. But there has to be some understanding and some respect, I think, going both ways.
Kawhi Leonard's having an MVP-type season, 27 points, 8 rebounds. Do you anticipate a big old chip on his shoulder and looking for big numbers and the win?
I don't think Kawhi, operates like that, Rick. I haven't seen that kind of calculation in him. He goes out every night trying to be the best player on the floor, which is the way I want my stars to act. I want my superstars to go out there not concerned about all the other stuff, just going out there and dominating on both ends, trying to be the best player on the floor every night. That's what I expect out of Kawhi Leonard.
Tuesday against the Jazz, career high 45. How about that? And by the way, the San Antonio Spurs are playing their best ball of the season right now. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. They've won 2 in a row. They're 21-17 and suddenly above the playoff line in the Western Conference. All right.
Hart backs up and tries it again. Yes! He does it again! Hart met by Morris. Hart on the drive. Yes! And the foul. Here comes a step back three. Again down the hatch it goes for James Harden. Step back. Oh! A cold-blooded three for James Harden. Is that the most unstoppable shot in basketball? It's unbelievable. Harden! How do you like me now? James flexing those muscles. Oh! James Harden with an MVP performance.
James Harden did not want the calendar to change to January because December of 2018 was the best month of his career. NBA record, 8 straight games, 35-5. Tied the record for 7 straight games with at least 5 threes. Joined Michael and Kobe as the only dudes to score 400-plus points in a 10-game span. Are you kidding me? And Thursday night at 10:30 Eastern on TNT, it's a rematch of last year's West Finals. It'll be the Rockets and Warriors from Oracle. The first meeting went to the Rockets. That was at home in December, 107-86. Harden had 27 in that game. What do you expect from the Beard against Draymond, Durant, Curry, Clay, and the Dubs tomorrow night?
Probably something similar to what he's been showing us lately, because when Chris Paul went down, I think a lot of us said up here, Sekou, said, how are they going to hold down the fort? We know a stretch of 10 games going to get hard for the Rockets. And like you said, when we came out of break, James Harden literally hit another switch, another gear, and we know he can shoot the three. We know he can get to the rim whenever he wants to, but when I see 50 points, Sekou, and still get 10 assists and still get 12 assists, Rick, it lets me know that D'Antoni's system, once again, fits him so perfectly, because he can come down and shoot 10 straight possessions, nobody says nothing. Or he can come down and pass 10 straight possessions, no one says nothing. Because that's the way the system fits, and that's the way they want him to play.
Yeah, what do I expect? Fireworks. I mean, I expect James Harden to continue to light these fireworks. The signal went up. The minute Chris Paul went out with that hamstring injury, you know what went through James Harden's mind. I got to flip this switch and turn it up. The tough part about it for the opposition is when James Harden is not making shots, even when he goes those 4 and 5 minute stretches in games where he can't buy a three, he still can get to the free throw line.
Yep.
He's beating you one way or another with his shot, whether it's at the line or behind the three-point line. I love that he's answered this call, though, after starting off sluggishly this year, the Rockets, not in the space a lot of us expected them to be. It would have been easy for James Harden to let himself sit a little longer with an injury, a bruised up body, this, that. He came back. He's dragged them from the abyss back into the playoff mix, put himself back into the conversation for the MVP award, That's the kind of stuff you want to see from a guy like this at this stage of his career.
It's really fun to watch. The stats are mind-boggling. Eric Gordon, by the way, I read before we came on, not expected to play tomorrow night. He's got a knee injury. He's officially listed as questionable. So we'll see if he can go in that big TNT clash. Now, January has been a good month for the Golden State Warriors over the past 4 seasons, going 12-3, 14-2, 12-2, and last year 11-3. That's 49-10. DZ, I did the math.
Yes,
that's an .830 winning percentage in the month of January over the last 4. And who knows, Steve Kerr, maybe the return of Boogie Cousins will help you have another extraordinary January.
I don't know if the question is who or what carries the most weight. It's more just a combination of all that stuff. I've got to feel good about putting him on the floor. DeMarcus has to feel good about being on the floor. Rick has to feel good about his safety, going on the floor and not re-injuring himself. And so they're all tied together for sure, but I can't really put a percentage. I think we'll just know when he's ready.
Interesting. I was trying to read between the lines there, and Steve Kerr, you're too good. I really couldn't. There's nothing there.
What you find? You didn't read nothing?
I read, but it was too good.
Too little.
There was really anything to hold on to. But here's the deal. DeMarcus Cousins did have a full practice here the last couple of days. He's getting closer to returning. Obviously, DZ and Sekou, they do not want to rush it. They want to be very careful and make sure he's fully right when he gets back. Do you think he'll even be back here in the month of January? Do you think that's a safe expectation?
My gut feeling is no, just because I've been lucky to be out there the last few weeks with this players-only game. And once again, Steve, thank you for letting us in and watching. So I've been watching him playing one-on-one full court since December. It's just that they would not allow us to put our cameras on it, but I was allowed to watch it and talk about it. So Cuz is chopping at the bit, Sekou. He's going to fit in nicely. The relationship with he and Draymond and KD, it's a strong relationship. He's planning on being around this team and franchise for a while. So all these reports coming out, wanting contract after this, if he comes back and they wins, why would he leave? Why would you want to leave Steph? Why would you want to leave KD? Why would you want to leave Draymond? All the stuff that Clay has told us the last 2 years. I get paid handsomely, and I get a chance to win handsomely every year. Why would I want to leave?
Let me ask you a question, because you've been out there, you've actually witnessed him out there on the court. So, they always say that TV puts 10 pounds on you, so you can't really tell from that. And Boogie Cousins has always been a guy that's been in good shape, but talk to me about that.
Yes.
Like, has he even slimmed down a little bit?
Well, when you're working out, you're eating right, you're in a situation, you can take control of your body. And one thing that's fun about Cuz is he's smiling while he's at work. He's happy with his environment. That training staff out there is doing everything right. And Bob Myers being the head of that snake saying, no, we want to make sure you're 1,000%. It's very similar when Steph was hurting recently. I said, Steph, why'd you wait? He said, I could have come back 3 or 4 games earlier, but they wanted me to make sure. So that lets me know when Boogie steps on that floor and the way the ball's hopping. So we always talk about 25 and 15. Well, that was the old Cuz that had to get 25 and 15. That what he has to do now is go out there and play good basketball and play within the system. The numbers will take care of themselves.
Yeah, to me, what Boogie's going to bring that nobody's factoring in is he's going to trigger fast breaks for the Golden State Warriors by just being a huge presence around the basket. Think of how much rebounding Draymond and Kevin Durant have had to do, and then getting the ball up the floor and trying to get them into transition. Now you got an opportunity where Boogie can take some of that pressure off, manhandle guys around the basket when he comes in. And it's not about Boogie running up and down, getting in the floor. That so much as him being the guy who helps instigate that with his presence around the rim. I think he'll be fine. I think Boogie's always looked bigger than he really is, just because he's such a big hulking guy with the long arms. But Boogie's never been a guy who's, to me, heavy or overweight for a 7-footer. He's always been a little bit more athletic and nimble than people give him credit for. He's a big fella. I mean, one of these guys, what they call it, country strong?
Country strong, Alabama strong.
So I'm curious about, relationships and chemistry, and you watch the games and you see Draymond and DeMarcus Cousins, sit next to each other, talking, laughing maybe sometimes. When Draymond and Durant got into it, the peacemaker was DeMarcus Cousins, okay? So is Draymond the Boogie whisperer, or what's going on here?
I think they're all each other's whisperers, to answer your question, because they all understand each other's personality. And I think USA basketball, we've learned now, has really helped all these relationships make sense. So now when you're around each other, you're playing for your country, and now you get a chance to play, say, for your job, oh, wait a minute, I know what this guy really is about. Because I was around him over the summer and we were able to talk through some things. We saw it with D-Wade, what Miami did. So now with Cuz, he's like, wait a minute, I've made some good money. I'm with a franchise that's everything they've talked about from day one and Steve Kerr says it. Wait a minute, what, Bob? DeMarcus Cousins wants to come play for us for only $5 million. I'll call you back. Because Steve Kerr didn't believe him. And he called Bob back and said, Bob, say it again? Yeah, we're about to get DeMarcus Cousins for $5 million. Since that conversation, everything they've talked about has done this. So now it's a matter of him getting on the court and living up to the expectation of being a healthy Cousins for that team.
Sekou, were we not out here together when we got that news?
Yes.
Doing a free agency show, and we were like,
jaws on the desk.
Like, there you
Cousins is going to the Warriors? What?
But you know what? The beautiful thing about it in this day and age when players are really captaining their own destiny, 3D, is that Boogie Cousins recognized his situation and chose winning above all else. We don't praise these guys enough when they do it. We love to talk about somebody's contract and how much money they make and whether or not they're living up to it. And are they putting in the work based on the money they make? Look at the work Boogie has put in just to come back. Think about the work ethic it takes to get all the way back physically from where he was in the injury he had. This is about Boogie earning the respect, I think, around the league that he feels he deserves. And in a winning situation, it's going to make it that much sweeter for Boogie Cousins when he gets on that floor for the Warriors because he's going to give them a pitch they have not had. Not even with Andrew Bogut in terms of a big man they could give the ball to and manufacture offense the way you will be able to with Boogie Cousins in your mix.
He does the same thing Bogut did from a passing standpoint, but now he's a better ball handler. He can take it off the rim. He's a shot maker, too.
Well, Boogie isn't going to play tomorrow night, but the Golden State Warriors will, and what a double-header. Kawhi Leonard's first return to San Antonio. The drama. And then you get Curry and the Warriors, Harden and the Rockets, one of the best doubleheaders of the year, Thursday night on TNT, and it starts right here on NBA TV at 7 with Game Time. This is Game Time Live.